Integers is one of the topics that are introduced in grade 7, and it is part of the topics of numbers, operations, and relationships. So it's very important that you lay down the foundation very well, because you know how important negative numbers are when you go on with algebra. So please stand still with integers and spend some time working with integers with your learners. So let's see where it fits into the curriculum. Topic 1.3 of the first content area in the senior phase CUPS document is integers, where the grade 7s need to count forwards and backwards in integers for any interval, to recognize, order, and compare integers, to do calculations with integers, and in grade 7, we are only doing addition and subtraction with integers. Do not even start with multiplication and division. Focus on adding and subtracting with integers so that your learners have a good solid foundation of integers. Then we are also doing properties of integers, where they need to recognize and use commutative and associative properties of addition and multiplication for integers. So just a note on this here. I know there's the word multiplication, but it's actually part of commutative and associative properties of addition and multiplication. So because multiplication also has the property of commutative and associative. So we stick to calculations with addition and subtraction. And then to solve problems in contexts involving addition and subtraction with integers. So this is how it fits into the curriculum. So your focus will be here in the intermediate phase if you are asked to be a grade 7 math teacher. Right, so and then you also need to know where they are going to in grade 8. So you also need to just take note of the requirements for grade 8 as well. So in our number system, let's just look where integers fits into. We start with our natural numbers, which starts at 1, 2, 3 until positive infinity. If we add the 0, we get the set of numbers that we call the whole numbers that starts at 0. When we introduce negative numbers on the other side of the number line, we end up with our integers. So this is where it all fits into our number system. And remember, with the fractions are those parts of the numbers in between the number line. And then we talk about rational numbers, which will be all fractions as well. And then we get irrational numbers, which are numbers that are not part of the rational numbers, and then we end up with the real numbers. So this is the number system. We can also visualize it like this: natural numbers 1, 2, 3. The whole numbers also include natural numbers, so you will see that the circle also includes natural numbers. And then when we look at the green oval, we will see negative numbers, 0, as well as positive numbers are included in the set of integers. Then we get our rational numbers, and that includes all the fractions as well as the negatives, 0 and positives. And then our irrational numbers, together they form part of the real numbers. So the properties of operations working with negative numbers as well. Just look at this number line. If you look at the number line, we are used to the blue part, which is our positive part. The natural numbers included into the 0 will be our whole numbers. And if we look, these are all equal spaces on the number line. So if we move to the negative side, which you introduce now, you will see that we can go on in the same way until negative infinity, in the same way, -1, -2, -3, and the distance between each interval is the same. So if I look at +1, it is the same distance from the 0 as the -1. Do you see that? The same with +2, it's the same distance from the 0 as the -2. Right, so we also know that when we add a positive number to a negative number of the same value, it will be equal to 0. Right, so that is actually 0 pairs. The pair of +2 added to -2 will give you 0. Right, so you can go through this slide, which explains all the properties of integers in your own time. I will put this up on VC Learn, as well as the properties here and just operations with integers. You will be familiar with this because you have already done grade 12. So this is integers and where it fits into our number system. Right, so now I would like to share my camera with my cell phone connected to it. So how it works is I have downloaded a program, IBCam. So you use your cell phone it's set up on a little stand here in my study and I connect my cell phone and my computer with the apps. So you download the app IBCam on your cell phone, and then you also download it on your computer, and then it connect to each other. It is awesome. So now I can show you this little whiteboard, and I will now introduce a method of working with manipulatives to introduce integers. So we can use different manipulatives. You all know like tile space savers. That forms a nice little plus sign for your positive numbers. And then I've actually just cut it at the top and the bottom part to have a negative number. So I can actually work with these little tile spacers in a grade 7 class. That works very well. Let them work with manipulatives. They are not too grown up to work with it. They will enjoy it very much once they start. So, right, so we can work with those, or what we can also use is little discs, flat discs. These are poker chips, actually. So I've bought it in a little tin like this, and it was a 4-in-1 game set. So included in this were dice, as well as cards and poker chips. So I use the blue and the red ones, and I will tell you why I use blue and red for this. So what I like to do is to tell my learners that we are going to use blue discs to represent all our positive numbers. So if we work with positive numbers, we use blue discs. And if we work with negative numbers, we use the red disc. I like to use the red because, if you work with money and you get a notice, or long ago it was a notice that you are in the red, it means that you do not have money anymore. So that's why I like to make the connection to the red discs to be negative numbers. Right, so let's start with a normal situation that our learners are used to. Let's say we are going to add. First of all, we are going to add. We are focusing on addition. So let's add 5. Let's add 3 to the 5. So let's demonstrate or model this situation. We've got 5 positive discs, and we want to add 3 positive discs. So we add, oh, these two stick together, 1, 2, 3 discs. And this is an easy calculation, like in grade 1. We count them all and we end up with 8 blue discs. So it is positive 8. All right, so this is a normal calculation that they have done in grade 1. Let's add a -5. Let's add it to -3. Usually how we indicate this is with a bracket like this. So we are doing addition. So we are adding 5 negative discs to 3 negative discs. So let's model this situation. We are adding 5 negative discs. We are adding that to 3 negative discs. So what happens? I count it all up and I get 8 red discs, which is actually my negative discs. So I get 8 red discs, and the red ones represents the negative numbers. So that is how I got -8. Right. So let's do another one. I want to add 2 negative discs to 4 negative discs. Right, so let's do it. 2 negative discs, and I'm going to add another 4 negative discs. So what am I left with? Read what you have on your board. Those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 discs which are negative. So that's why my answer is -6. Right. So that's the normal way of adding. So now I want to introduce that 0 pairs. 0 pairs. This is a concept that we use, 0 pairs. That means, what is the opposite of a number? If we take the number 4, what will be the opposite of this number? The opposite of this number is -4. So those are opposites. So +4, the opposite of this number is -4. Right, and together they make 0 if we add them. So what we actually do is we make pairs of these blue and red discs. And as soon as we have equal pairs there, a blue and a red one makes a 0. So you can add in 0 pairs, or you can take away 0 pairs. It will not change your calculation. So as long as your learners remember that a number has an opposite, 4's opposite is -4. 3's opposite is -3. -7's opposite is 7. And if you add those numbers, it will give you 0. Right, so remember these 0 pairs. Their sum is 0. So if you add them, you will get 0. So these are 0 pairs. Right. Now we're going to use these 0 pairs to do some calculations. So we are going to use 0 pairs to add, firstly, a positive integer. So let's first take it step by step. we're going to add positive integers. So say, for instance, we are adding -4 plus 4. So let's model this. -5, sorry. -5 means it is 5 negative discs, which are my red discs, and I'm adding 4 positive discs here. All right, now I've got this. So what am I going to do into this situation? Because this doesn't tell me anything. How am I going to count this? By making 0 pairs. And as soon as I can make a 0 pair, it forms 0. So that is 0. These two will form a 0. These two will form a 0. These two will form a 0. So read what I'm left with. I'm left with one red one, and that is why it is -1. So firstly, you model the situation, then you make pairs, and then you read what is left. Right, so let's do another example that is similar to this one, just to enforce this whole procedure. Let's take -4 plus 1. Right, so I'm adding, and what am I adding? I'm adding a 1. And remember, if we write 1, there's actually a little positive in front of it. But because it's 1 and it's positive, the mathematicians agreed that we will not write that plus there. But if I want to talk about -1, I need to write that negative. All right. So what actually stands here is we are adding 4 negative discs to 1 positive disc. So let's model this. We are adding 4 negative discs, and we are adding that to 1 positive disc. So I model the situation. Now I want to do something with the situation, because how am I going to add these? By making 0 pairs. So if I can form a 0 pair, that means this 0 pairs value is 0. So what am I left with? I am left with 3 red discs. And that is why it is negative. Right. Let's just model one more. I'm going to add -6 to 5. So what is the situation? It means you add 6 negative discs to 5 positive discs. So model the situation. 6 negative discs. You are adding 5 positive discs. Right? How am I counting this? By making 0 pairs. So 1 blue and 1 red makes a 0. 1 blue and 1 red makes a 0. 1 blue and 1 red makes a 0. 1 blue and 1 red. 1 blue and 1 red. So read what you are left with, and that is 1 negative disc, the red disc. So that's why it's -1. So that was when we were adding positive integers. Right. So let's work by adding a negative integer. What's going to happen if we add negative integers? Right, we're also going to use 0 pairs. So let's add 4 to -3. Right? So remember, if I want to write this, 4 plus minus 3, I need to put this into brackets to indicate that that is my negative number. Right, so what am I doing? I'm going to model this. 4 positive discs, and I'm going to add 3 negative discs. All right. So what am I doing with this situation? How do I count them? By making 0 pairs. And I know that the 0 pairs value is 0. So these 6 are all zeros. So what am I left with? I'm left with one blue one, and I do not need to write the plus before the 1 because we have decided, or mathematicians decided, that we do not write the plus 1 there. Right, so I'm left with one positive. Let's do another little example. Let's take 2 and we add negative 5. So model the situation. 2 blue discs, and we are going to add 5 red discs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, how are we going to count this? By making 0 pairs. So I'm taking a blue and a red one. That makes 0. That's a pair. Blue and a red one. So this is 0. What am I left with? I am left with these 3 discs, and they are all negative discs or red discs. That's why my answer is negative 3. Right. So that was actually really easy to add integers. So now we're gonna subtract integers. So let's subtract integers. So remember, integers are your positive and negative numbers. So let's start with an easy example. Let's say 5 minus 3. 5 blue discs, let's model it. I've got 5 blue Smarties, and I'm giving away 3 blue Smarties. 3 blue Smarties. So I'm taking it away. 1, 2, 3. I'm taking it away. So what am I left with? I'm left with 2 blue Smarties. So that's the normal way of calculating a subtraction calculation. Right. So what happens now if I'm going to subtract 2 negative integers? This is actually negative 5, and we are going to take away negative 3. So let's model this. Negative 5, take away negative 3. So I've got 5 blue Smarties, red Smarties, and I'm going to give away 3 of the red Smarties. So 1, 2, 3, I give away. So what am I left with? 2 red Smarties. Right, let's do another example. This one, 7 blue discs because it's a positive number. take away 3. What? 3 blue discs. 7 blue Smarties, take away 3 blue Smarties. 1, 2, 3, and I'm left with 4 blue Smarties. And I do not have to write the plus there, but if they want to do that in the beginning, let them do that. All right, so if you want to say, you may write the plus for the blue ones, it is okay, let them do that. Right. Another example. -4 minus -1. So what is this? It means I'm going to subtract. I've got 4 red Smarties, and I'm going to give away 1 red Smartie. So I've got 4 red Smarties, and I'm going to give away 1 red Smartie. There it is. So what am I left with? 3 red Smarties. Right. Let's do another one. -3 minus -3. I've got 3 red Smarties, and I'm giving away 3 red Smarties. So let's model this. 3 red Smarties, and I'm giving away 3 red Smarties. 1, 2, 3. Right. So what am I left with? With nothing. Right. So let's see. We can also do this sum. Right, so let's see. -4, take away +2. That's actually what it is. -4, so I start with 4 red Smarties. And now I want to take away 2 blue Smarties, because remember, there's a difference between, let me just write it here. There's a difference between 4 red Smarties, take away 2 red Smarties, and 4 red Smarties, take away 2 blue Smarties. Because if you want to take away a negative number, you need to indicate it. So what are we going to do now? We do not have 2 blue Smarties to take away. So what are we going to do? We said that you can at any time take away a 0 pair, because this is 0. A positive blue, or a +1 and a -1, if you add them, they make a 0, so you can take it away. Or you can introduce it. You can add a 0 pair, because this is still 0. And if you add 0 to any calculation, you still have 0. So we may add 0 pairs until we are able to take away 2 blue ones. So let's add 2 0 pairs, because now we are able to take away the 2 blue ones. So we started off with 4 negative discs, and we need to take away 2 positive discs, but we didn't have it at the beginning. But that's no problem. We may add 0 pairs, because this value still stays 0. So now we are able to take away 2 blue discs. So let's take these 2 away. So what are we left with? With 6 red discs. All right. So let's do another one. Let's say -5 minus 3. Let's start with 5 red Smarties or 5 negative discs. And I need to take away 3 positive discs. But I do not have blue discs. I do not have positive discs. But that's no problem. I may add 0 pairs because this value is 0. So add 0 pairs until you are able to take away 3 blue ones. Right, so I've added 0 pairs until I'm able to take away 3 blue discs. So those are the 3 blue discs that I'm taking away. So what am I left with? I am left with 8 negative discs. 8 red discs. I'm left with -8. Right. Let's do another one. 2 minus 5. Let's model this. What does this mean? It means positive 2, hey? I didn't write anything in front of the 2, so it means it's 2 positive discs. Because I take this as a take away action, I need to take away what? 5 blue discs. But I do not have 5 blue discs. I only have 2 blue discs. So what now? No problem. Add 0 pairs until you are able to take away 5 blue discs. So I'm adding 0 pairs until I'm able to take away 5 blue discs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've added 3 pairs, but it doesn't matter. This is still 0. Right. So now I can take away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what am I left with? I'm left with 3 red discs or 3 red negative numbers. Right. Let's do another one similar to this one. 1 take away 3. So this actually means positive 1 take away positive 3. I've got a positive 1. How can I take away 3 blue ones? I'm not able to. So now I'm adding 0 pairs because the value is 0 until I'm able to take away 3 blue discs. So I take away 1, 2, 3, and I'm left with 2 red discs. Right. Oopsie. So let's now subtract a negative integer. I'm going to subtract this. Right, so what now? Let's model this. I have 3 blue discs. 3 blue discs, okay? I have to take away 5 red discs, but I do not have them. All right, no problem, don't stress. Add the 0 pairs. Remember, I can add as many 0 pairs as I want because the value of a 0 pair is what it says, 0. Right, so I'm going to add 0 pairs until I'm able to take away 5 negative ones. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can take that away. So what am I left with here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm left with 8 blue discs, and let them write the plus there if they want to. 8 blue discs. Right, let's do another similar one to this. Let's take away or subtract a negative integer. So let's do this one. -1 minus or take away -4. So let's model this. I want to take away. So I start with -1. Now I need to take away 4 negatives, but I do not have 4. No problem. Add 0 pairs until you are able to take away 4 negatives. And my negatives are my red ones. So I'm going to introduce or add 3 pairs because now I'm able to take away 1, 2, 3, 4 negative discs. What am I left with? I am left with 3 blue discs, and that is my answer. Right, let's do this one. 5 take away -5. Right, let's start. I've got 5 positive discs, and I want to take away 5 red ones, 5 negative ones. But I do not have 5 negative discs. No problem. Add your 0 pairs because the values still stay 0. And I'm adding 0 pairs until I'm able to take away 5 negative discs. 5 red ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I take them away. What am I left with? I am left with 10 blue discs. And that's my answer. Alrighty. Actually, if you do it this way, your learners will understand this. Let me just pause here. I will go on with another method in the next video.